Two birds getting stoned at once right there. Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast,
we've got not a whole lot actually going on in terms of the news. There's a few articles that are out there. Wolves are back in the news here in Idaho.
Always.
Talking about how many days left till elk season.
215.
215. And that's...
Sorry.
And the
Were you
math
saving
on
that one?
Well, now
I wanted to surprise you.
Now we have to start over.
Okay.
No, the thing is, and just so whoever catches this, the calculation on 215 days is to the 29th of August because our starting day is the 30th of August. So from this date, which is January 27th?
26th.
26th, yeah.
Yeah. So, and my wife's birthday is August 29th.
Okay. So, congratulations.
So, I know.
That's like timely, rather, actually.
Yeah. Well, what can you do? Yeah. So anyway, that's what we got coming up. We're going to be talking about a lot of the Elk 101 content that hit YouTube in the past couple weeks because we haven't been out for a couple weeks. Last week I missed because I was having dinner.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is
my
only cheat meal since January 2nd.
Yeah. How well is the process going?
So, so I started at 280. I weighed myself in at 280 on the 2nd of January. The first week I lost 9 pounds to 271. The second week I lost 5 pounds to 266. My third weigh-in was this week, and I was at 263. So I only lost 3 pounds.
Wow, you caught up with me.
Okay, I'm trying.
That's where I'm at.
I'm trying. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was this morning.
So I'm hoping if my scorched earth diet, and it's still the same.
Okay.
100% the same. A bowl of berries and 4 eggs for breakfast. I got coffee with nothing in it. Just black coffee. Yeah, and lots of it.
And my strategy is simply only I'll weigh myself, but I'm keeping myself conscious of my weight, but I'm only allowed to write down my weight to track it if I've beat the previous weight that was lower.
Okay.
Right. And so what I've noticed is a really interesting fluctuation of weights between days. So sometimes I'll hit a trend where I'll lose a pound a day for like 3 days, and then I'll jump up, but then over the course of 5 days, it goes down lower. And so it's kind of this little wave ride down.
Are you weighing yourself every day again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not writing it down every day.
Oh,
because I can only write it down if I'm at the last. So as I lose weight, whatever that marker is, I can only write down the weight if it's below that number.
Yeah.
And so what that psychologically is working with me on is like, hey, I want to make sure that I get below 263. So as I go through the day, I'm thinking more about what am I eating and what am I not eating, what am I drinking, and when am I eating and drinking, all that stuff. And so And
you're doing dry January too,
which is a good. It's beneficial to that.
That's a few calories. That's a few calories a day or a week, whatever it is, however it is you want to calculate it.
Yeah, and my strategy, as I mentioned before the podcast, is to make sure that I have a little more intentional relationship with alcohol after this month too, just so that it's more.
It has to be intentional. I really enjoy drinking. I do. And to the point where, I could have one with lunch. Sure. I could have one with dinner. Oh, I need a cocktail. Oh,
Yeah.
And it just a little too much, especially during the holidays. Yeah. But I like to enjoy the holidays.
But this has been my, as I also mentioned earlier, this has been my best, my favorite dry January. For whatever reason, I'm noticing just how better I feel. And maybe I was just hitting it too hard on the holidays. I don't know.
Yeah. I like the idea of a human hibernation.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? I know I've been picking out, right? Just like all the animals do when things are in high supply, in great supply.
Yeah.
They just pick out. And you know what? Things are in short supply now, effectively. In January, we all want to, just get into this hibernation mode.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to lose weight. There's dry January. And so I'm just like leaning into that. Like it's just a hibernation. If I can just scorched earth for 3 months, and I got a big competition coming up in about 3 weeks that I really hope, because when I came home from elk season, I was in the 250 pounds.
Wow.
I know, because I was starved to death and overworked. I mean,
that's right.
That was such a long day. It took me so many days to recover.
And I said this before. I was kind of impressed that you were still willing to go out with me on that last weekend. And speaking of those weekends, so I'm, Labor Day weekend is always I'm good for a hike. And
Yeah.
look, if the right opportunity presents itself, which is really any opportunity, I'll take it.
If it's brown, it's down.
But I'm making sure that I'm available. So the month ends on a Saturday, the 30th, and I don't want to go out for only a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't have time, so it's got to be that previous weekend. So my hopes, if Labor Day weekend doesn't bring anything, then that second to last weekend is when I'll.
Okay, are we going to be able to buffer that with extra days?
That I don't know,
because you're not. Yeah, if you use kind of an extra day on Labor Day this last year, 2022.
I did.
And you're like, hey, let's move that.
Right. So thinking that far ahead, I'm hoping to have some of those days.
Okay.
The problem is I get so many free days at my job and my contract. I'm using 2 of them here in the spring because I've got an anniversary date.
But I thought you get them. I thought you get new ones. A new contract begins in the fall.
I knew that.
That's right, because you've done that before.
Yeah, that's
because you're
right.
like, no, wait a minute, I get 2 new days.
I forget. I forget.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, you bet.
Holy crap. Duh.
Okay.
So my hope would then to maybe try to schedule a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
That's what I
would.
So I'm also trying to schedule things around my little band gig thing.
Yeah.
So on the calendar for them to say, hey, dates that David is not available. We had
if it starts with a 9.
Right.
I'm busy.
And we already, so after our last gig, the guy who ran our sound at the venue we were at, he actually works at the college with me, but he works as the sound guy for the Fine Arts Auditorium. And I recognize him, like, hey man, I'm a faculty member there, and so we had it was a cool conversation. But after we were done, he's like, so my wife does this thing in the fall, and she heard you do your sound check, and she said get their contact information. So I was like, well, that's a very flattering compliment.
Yes, very nice.
And he goes, yeah, in September. And I immediately go, oh my gosh, I can't do September. That's my. He probably was like, oh man, I shouldn't open my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't want to work with these guys anymore. This guy's just going to tell me how he's always got to go elk hunting.
Yeah.
And so there's possibility I could have a gig in September, but I'm not going to book a gig if I'm booked hunting. So just FYI.
Okay. Can I? This is a perfect opportunity for a great elk season story.
Yes.
Because I have a child, now 2 children, diagnosed with autism.
Yes.
So recently the 6-year-old, and he's really high functioning. And anyways, so I also have a 21-year-old.
It's crazy that
she's 21. Yeah, she's 21.
Still boggles my mind.
And she lives at home. So I've spent, past 18 years plus, with raising this autistic. And we do tons of benefit stuff. And Autism Awareness Month is in April.
Yeah.
And so CrossFit did this big thing where like, hey, we're gonna do. It's called Lift Up Luke, and it was for this kid that we knew his parents. We did some training with his parents.
Okay.
And the guys who did the training were really high up in CrossFit, and so they had this event called Give 5. It's a 5-minute workout. Give 5 for autism, and you come and do a workout, and you donate some money to Autism Speaks or whatever. And it's a great event, and we do it in April. But the CrossFit Open is in March.
Okay.
And then there's regionals. And so all these gyms are working on getting athletes to the regional events, and like, listen, we can't do autism awareness in April. Can we move it to September? Right?
Oh,
and they asked everybody but me. And when my wife says, your daughter has a benefit workout on a Saturday in September, I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
I will tell you this months in advance. I've raised that child. I will go to everything autism.
Yeah.
You change it to September. And people will be like, gosh, where's Harold? I thought he was like this autism dad, and like, it's elk season.
Yeah.
Autism awareness is in April.
You have a very clever and crafty way of shaming me for saying that I would open a weekend to go do a gig somewhere.
No, listen.
So thank you very much for just
we talked last week that my son may be getting married in September.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? What did I say? I don't have to celebrate those anniversaries. I'll go to the wedding.
Yeah.
I won't miss it. I won't miss my son's wedding for elk season. But I'll think twice about going.
You're right.
Like Jared.
Oh, goodness.
Jared, no. This happened before elk season. Jared's brother, Nick. I can't believe I'm laughing about this. His wife passed away. And she was and it was like inevitable. There was something wrong with her and something's going to happen, but he was devastated.
Yeah.
His brother, and I know I told you about this.
Yeah,
His brother was devastated. And I go, "So Jared, you still going to make it to elk camp?" Right? He goes, "Well, yeah. Of course I'm going to make it to elk camp." And so that's the question I had to ask myself. Would I still go elk hunting if my only brother's wife passed away?
The world is full of choices, you know.
Laughing at the idea of it. That's all. Of course, I would be there. But just laughing at the idea that, well, I wasn't that close to her. That's just
Right.
Anyway, so elk season. Yeah, there are some lines.
Yeah.
But I will second guess that.
Right. So, my brain went blank.
The media. So we watched a bunch of stuff. On YouTube. The Elk 101 guys, Destination Elk version 5 or V5. I don't know if it's which version or Victory 5.
They're doing some interesting stuff. So a couple of things. I guess I would say these are my observations.
Okay.
I like the way they're editing the videos for the elk hunting this year as opposed to last year. Because last year they were jumping around way too much between camps.
Yeah.
They're still jumping from camps, but it's more targeted in how they're allowing you to follow some of the storylines.
Agreed. And I like that because they'll date it. They'll say, these guys are here, and this is the date.
Yeah.
These guys are here, and it's a different date. It's 3 weeks later in the same episode. But they're sort of going through the days of the hunt and paralleling the storyline.
And the hosts of this YouTube channel then go on to have a banter of sorts afterwards, which it's useful information, to each their own. I don't know. I don't want to be too. It's not that I want to sound harsh. I'm just. It's a bit slow paced.
Yeah.
A little more slow paced than I was anticipating. Not that it's bad. It's just that it's what it is. But there's some great information there. They're doing some amazing giveaways.
Yeah.
So you can get on there and comment after each video, which I have dumb luck. And I'm hoping that dumb luck shows up with my comments in the videos. In fact, I was sad because in the last, not the episode that dropped today, but the episode that dropped on Tuesday, and you know this, I watched the episode because kids disappeared out of the living room. Wife's doing homework. She's in school. And so I'm out there alone. I'm like, well, I've got Elk 101. So I put it on, and my golden retriever's on the couch next to me. And she's not, she's lazy and she's sleeping. But all of a sudden, they have a shot of elk.
And a house dog, a family dog.
Yeah.
The sweetest thing.
The sweetest thing.
So nice. Just,
There's a picture of this saddle, and these elk start coming over the hill. And all of a sudden, she is on alert.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there staring. And I've got pictures and video of this situation. She is tuned in. And I'm just thinking, that's my dog. That right there. And I know she's a killer in her heart. Yeah. I've seen her take after the wildlife here in my backyard. And she's done a pretty good job with those gophers when she could get to them. The gopher in the garden was different because she'll get the gopher in the garden, but she'll also get the garden. And that's, so that was a rough situation. But
that's not good.
She just, I often wonder what would happen to her if I do take her to the woods. Would I have a dog to bring home? I think so. I think she'd probably stay somewhat tempered, but she would love to go chase after some squirrels and stuff. And that's what I'm worried about. If she's that hot on seeing an elk on a TV, but that much about like the gophers, she'll tear into some stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. The even the dogs in my house. I got a doodle. I got a sheepadoodle or some idiot doodle. And I have a Chihuahua Shih Tzu cross.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you know what? They're family dogs. They're great. But when you make elk sounds, they're both like,
yeah.
I never heard no elk sound before, but I know that's a wild animal.
Yeah.
And I'm on the prowl.
We were riding our bikes last summer, and we were getting over towards the canyon rim here in Twin Falls, and there was a killdeer.
Yeah.
It had a nest right off the road, off the sidewalk. Yeah. And what do killdeer do? They make a lot of noise, right? So I decided to film it, and it actually wasn't leaving its nest. It was sitting on the nest just squawking at us. So I pulled up my phone, and I just wanted a picture, but somehow I got just 1 second of this bird, and it just happened to be during its noise. And so I have this clip on my phone that's just this choop, 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 and I can pull it up, and it'll play and play and play and play. And if I play that for the dog, my dog's name is Lyra. If I play that for Lyra, she get like, if I thought she was on alert for the elk, she gets bothered by the sound of that bird. She's, and if you think about it, it's in her DNA. She was bred to retrieve birds.
Yeah.
So if she did what she did to a gopher, I can only imagine what she would do to a duck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hopefully just bring it back.
And I do have precedent. I do actually have some indication of what would happen. So when she was a puppy, she's probably 8 months old. The pandemic happens. We live in it. We moved from our home that we sold into our rental. Yeah. From our rental, we were able to walk to the soccer complex here in Twin Falls.
Yeah.
And Vesa walked Lyra down, and she's like, there's nobody there. It's just us. So she takes Lyra off her leash, and Lyra spots a bird.
Uh-oh.
And it took about a half hour to get her back.
Wow.
She took off and chased and chased and chased and chased and chased.
That impulse is pretty strong.
Yeah. So Puppy Lyra got some experience chasing a real bird, and wow. So she's wired that, I think, pretty good. Even with her limited experience, she's pretty wired.
We have some pretty good news on the waterfront.
Yeah.
There has been, what do they call it? Atmospheric rivers that have been hitting California.
The Pineapple Expresses.
Over and over and over and over again. And they have added water to basins across the West, including the Northern Rockies. And as well as Utah and Colorado, which is really, really, really important for the Colorado River. But I saw this graph, and it helps us understand we're 115% above normal, or we're 15% above normal, or we're at 150% for this time. And it's like if we're looking at a graph of a mountain, and we're like, well, we're supposed to be 1/4 of the way up the mountain, or let's go 3/4 the way. It's almost spring. We need to be 3/4 of the way up the mountain, but we're 5/8, right? Mm-hmm. We're just a little bit. No, which one's longer? 3/4. 3/4 is, 5/8 is more. Sorry. So, right. Sorry. So. Yeah, I got lost in fractions there. Anyways, so we're 5/8 and we're at 5/8 when we need to be only at 3/4, but we still have to get to 1, right? We still have to be able to get to that point. So, sorry.
Yeah, I realized when you mentioned headlines, and so I reached for the iPad, and it hasn't been charging.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to troubleshoot how to do that while you were talking. So I apologize if it looked like I was a little distracted.
Yeah. I just want to get caught up on the water situation, which is really good. We have some extended cold coming across the West. Yeah. Actually, the whole country next week. The whole country. We have Groundhog's Day coming up.
Yep.
I know that's a really important weather event.
It's probably the most important and accurate prediction of what's coming.
Everybody needs to pay attention. Well, what it means is it's 4 weeks till spring or 6 weeks till spring. Who cares? It's the point. Spring's coming.
Yeah.
That's the marker. Hey, it's February. Spring's going to be here. I promise. That's what Groundhog's Day is.
By the way, since you're talking about runoff, there was a major weather event in our hunting area that left some scars in the hillside.
Huge.
So there's the place in the Ripper that we like to cross next to that. We have some pictures, and I found a picture taken from that spot.
Yeah?
From when we would sit there and scope. I have some pictures. I need to go dig them up. So
okay.
I just... always careful about the backdrop, but it'd be kind of cool to show that side by side. Like it's remarkable. Like
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, I am charging now. That's good. All right.
All right. So basically, the water situation, we're not done yet. We're not there yet. It's been good and cold, which means the rock or the water stays in the rock. It's amazing, that place in the Ripper where we hike up. It's right off of Elk Ridge, between Elk Ridge and the Ripper. And you hike over there, and still, even though we know it hasn't rained in days or even weeks, there's still pure, delicious water trickling out of the rocks
out
of
that
mountain.
Spring.
And
oh
we
my
know
gosh.
where the top of the mountain is. It's not that far.
No, we've been there.
The rock holds so much dirt, and we
So much water. You mean
so much water? The rock holds so much water.
I hope that's not what I've been drinking.
Well, I was thinking about the times where it snowed a foot.
Yeah,
and it's gone by the end of the day.
Yeah,
but there's no runoff.
Yeah, it's absorbed.
It's a lot, and the ground is dry already.
Yeah,
it's like sucked into the rocks. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool, and to know that we've got some really good cold weather to kind of hold it back into the mountains.
Having a slow runoff from the winter snowpack is important.
Yeah,
and last year we had a lot of snow real quick, but it melted quick. We had warm fronts coming through, and
so February. we had a late spring last year.
Yeah,
spring came late, from my memory, from my recollection.
Yeah, it seems the track.
Because we planned to go out shed hunting. We just like every weekend was like, now it's raining again. Now it's raining again. Now it's raining again.
Yeah.
And we were encouraged by that because
like
we
mid
knew
to late March when they shed, right?
Yeah. Well, they're starting to shed now. I'm starting to see pictures. of bloody antlers being found. And they might be in the deep south, and the whitetail might lose them before elk and muleys or whatever. I don't really know, but some of the guys shed hunting have found some. Maybe it was an old picture. So because it seemed early to me.
I would imagine there's the majority of sheds fall during a certain time, but
there's outliers. Yeah,
but yeah. I have no idea.
It's a window.
I honestly don't know. I just know that it's like mid-March or something like that. I keep reading things.
Yeah, we don't want to go out and pursue them until mid-March because there's not enough food for them to be hassled from location to location.
Yeah,
but Daria, they're out there. What I need to do, and honestly, I'll probably do this weekend, is take my phone scope out and just find some elk somewhere. Where are they hanging out right now? January, February.
That's a good idea,
right? Take some video, have some cool video. Go, okay, well, I'll hike up there and look for antlers.
Yeah.
So we will see. We were talking, and I don't want to get too distracted because we were talking about some content on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's been 3 different episodes.
Yes.
And so I want to talk. There's something different about all 3 episodes, and I'm sorry I didn't take notes. I should. I watched this and I go, I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember.
I made a few mental notes on things because a lot of this is in Idaho.
Yeah, a lot.
And so I'm watching this. I'm like, some of this looks familiar, but it only looks familiar because it's Idaho.
Yeah.
But what are they doing and how are they doing it? And what does that compare to what we do, you and me? And so there's a couple things that we've started tracking in our vocabulary. We've mentioned it, but it's just not something we've gotten good at. And that's call.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with the number of calls. But I don't know what it is that's going to help us break through that, because we started to, like, that last day, we got to a certain point. We waited till we heard something. We called it in.
Yeah.
But to just call more, and they're dry calling so much more than I would have thought to ever do.
So yeah, but it depends. Now, Angry Spike has a different strategy. They drive around that little Suzuki.
Angry Spike is in Oregon now, so that's I would consider that different demographic, different situation.
And they call a lot.
They do, but
they have to because it's thick, and they can jump from spot to spot to spot. And that was interesting. You're right though. The other guys are doing, and I'm trying to pay attention, and they're calling them from a long distance.
Yeah,
I did notice that.
Yeah.
Long distance, like that guy's got to be 300-400 yards away and raking. 400 yards,
and early in the season,
very early.
And I'm just thinking, I don't know. It just seems counterintuitive. But then again, what kind of success have I had, and what kind of success do they have? And so at a certain point, you got to go, okay, well,
we know elk don't have to rut to bugle, right?
Yeah,
they'll bugle anytime, and. We know the area we went into, they were all still bachelored up on that Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
We didn't hear a peep.
Nope.
We didn't hear a peep all weekend long. We saw, I think, 11 different bull elk.
Yeah. That
in
massive
the same
one.
draw. In the same draw.
Yeah.
11 different bull elk. Different from the elk I shot in the same draw.
Yeah.
But, and I will say this, one thing I did note is that some of the guys, the twin brothers and Corey and Donnie, they did talk about how we're back here. This is the area we hunt. We're familiar with this area. This is where we hunt. We're back here again. This is where we hunt. They're hunting the same area. Guys coming from, getting to know a new area.
Yeah.
It takes years.
And
it
so
takes years.
So think of the awesome situation that you and I have had because of the two areas that we tend to go to. Now, even though we hadn't been to the one in a while, we knew it because that's a comforting thing to know that we're doing at least that aspect of it right. We know it enough to know. And that was paramount when we got up on that last weekend because there were other hunters and they're like, well, we were going to do this. And we're like, we totally know the area. We're going to go.
No problem.
And they're like, awesome. They were really relieved that we had the ability to be able to do that. And how frustrating would it have been to them.
Yeah.
Because I've run into that where I ran into hunters that weren't from that area and I tried telling them my plans and I'm like, well, I got all these different plans. And they're like, well, we had all those plans too. And I'm like, well, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of your plan, but I'm going to go beyond it because we all got to hunt. So, there's at a certain point, we got to call a spade and be like, well, we're just going to have to share the hunting situation.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of room and I'm going to go into, I went to the backyard, but and they were hanging out on.
I love the backyard.
I
love the backyard.
And they were hanging out on Elk Ridge. So.
Oh yeah. But
I ended up not going all the way to the backyard. I got all the way up, and they were making lots of noise. And then I heard that bull in the tree stand in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I eventually ended up over there, but it was all washed up by that.
Yeah, guys marching through the woods, bugling. Is something that I've seen.
Yeah, we've experienced that. We've heard it. It's obvious that it's not an elk.
And there have been times when guys bugling, and it's so funny. They'll get the elk talking, but they'll just sit there on a wallow and bugle.
Yeah.
And so there was one time in the backyard where I'm like,
I remember
that. I know that those guys are just hunters. Yeah. So I'm gonna go, and they keep getting this other bull to talk. So I don't have to do any work. All I got to do is hike in on them.
Yeah.
And I didn't get enough elevation to get the wind where I needed it.
Yeah.
And I got busted. But anyway.
And that is one of the biggest notes from a lot of the excursions we've had, but even these videos this year, wind.
Yeah.
Figure out the wind.
Always.
So have that.
So important.
The wind checker. Got to use the wind checker more and more.
Yeah. And I even had to learn that lesson the hard way the first weekend out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, just wasn't thinking about how the thermals work, how the topography works.
Yeah.
And
the number of times I've heard thermal references in the first three episodes makes me go,
yeah.
They're sending a message there, and I know, and I've heard it, and it's been explained by all these videos, but I need to take that information now and go out and really try to understand it in real time because I tend to forget that. So I've got to make a note that this year when I'm out, understanding the knowledge, so refresh my memory of the knowledge of how thermals work.
Yeah.
And then try to watch for that and understand it in the field.
Fill in the gaps in the field because, well, this mountain is shaped this way, but it's also part of this mountain, which is shaped this way, and the sun hits it different on this day.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, it's very intricate. And I still think the trees are like Plinko, right? They take your scent.
Sure.
They take your scent and it hits this tree and it swirls uphill. It's this tree and it swirls downhill.
Yeah.
So you've got an area of scent that you're just going to be detected in. Now, that time you caught two bulls in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Just good, strong wind.
Yeah.
Right?
The wind was that was my first experience there. My first day ever hunting.
Oh, man.
Ever. No, that was my second day. Was it? Hold on.
I thought it was your first.
Yeah, that was my first day hunting out there, and I was just exploring.
Yeah.
And I was going up and down these washes, and I've told the story 100 times, but I like to tell it. I got up to the top. I was one wash over from this place where they were at that I had last seen them head toward. And I get up, and it's a stiff cross breeze going from my left to right up the mountain.
Yeah.
And I sneeze because I got blue eyes and I didn't have sunglasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, well, hell. And I just discounted that they could still be there. I didn't think about all the elements, blocking the sound of my voice being washed away with the wind. I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
And the sound of my sneeze, that is. And so I go down the gully and I come up to the next ridge, which is right above where they're at. And they were there. They had no clue. They were oblivious. And I'm ridge lined, but I moved slow and I just slowly sat down.
Yeah.
And they're 40 yards from the top of this ravine. The 4-point and the spike, full velvet still.
That's so cool.
I can see the reds of their eyes.
Yeah.
And then, you get in that debate of, do I want the spike or the 4-point spike or the 4-point? Is it 30 or is it 40? 30 or 40 or the spike, 4-point? You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and draw. So I actually had a full draw at one point, but I was like, I don't know how far away they are. So I let the draw back. So I'm like, okay, spike, 4-point spike. Okay, I'll go to the 4-point. And the 4-point had its head behind a tree, but the spike was like maybe 35 yards from me.
You lost a little bit of sleep over that one, maybe a few times.
And so I go to draw, and the spike saw me.
Oh,
because I wasn't moving slow enough, and he went over to the 4-point. And they had a conversation, and he said, "Hey, there's something at the top of that freaking hill," and they both look at me.
Wow.
He went over to the spike.
Yeah, you told me,
and it was so amazing to see that communication. They both looked over at me, and I just sit still. I look like a bush just sitting at the top of the hill, but they were like.
Yeah, that bush is suspicious.
Yeah, but then they went about 60 yards. And then they slowly grazed off, and there was no way. I didn't have the knowledge or understanding how to get them to call back.
Yeah.
But it was still quite a remarkable experience. Like
anytime you get close to elk.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And when it's a brand new area, to have an encounter, and I told you about the encounter that I didn't have, but I did have, which got me up there in the first place. First and foremost, I was looking for a ravine that had lots of offshoot canyons.
Right.
That's where this is.
Yeah.
And we were hiking. I was hiking with my family on my birthday up to on the lake trail that's up there. And we crossed the stream. And the kids got tired and we turned around. So we weren't going to make it to the lake and came back to a creek crossing that we had just crossed. And there was an elk print that wasn't there when we came through. And I don't know about
how much time had passed?
About 15 minutes.
Wow.
And the thing is, and the kids probably won't have the memory. Draven was 6, Bram was 3. Vessa would remember, but I remember every creek crossing I come to, I go, I want to look for sign.
Right.
I'm looking for prints.
Always.
And I wasn't really seeing anything. And so this last creek crossing, we crossed it, and I'm like, there's no prints. So we go on up the trail, and then we turn around, we come back, there's a print.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a good sign.
I'm like, there's elk here. This is active. Like it's. And that lake trail, the beautiful meadows that are above that lake trail. And
really?
You and I were marveling at the elk we saw before we left.
Yes.
That's over on that.
Oh, really?
That area, yeah.
Wow.
So,
that was so picturesque.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
Just a big steep mountainside with a bunch of aspens and a herd of elk just slowly
in all
grazing.
their fall colors.
Yeah,
the aspens in their fall colors and bullock with their heads back chasing cows around.
So that's what sold me on that area. It's like I knew there was something going on, and I kind of decided the trailhead that we now know very well.
Yeah.
And the only other thing about that day that I decided that was the area I was going to start hunting was I passed a morel mushroom, not knowing what it was. It looked like honeycomb, and I'm like, I don't know, mushrooms can be deadly. That looks like I don't know, but it was huge.
Oh wow!
And we passed it up.
Oh,
it was right off the trail too.
All right. Well, there's always next time.
I've been looking for a morel up there ever since.
Okay. But now, I know. I've been looking for white pine nuts too.
Now
since.
Now that we have a burn area though.
When are the white pine nuts going to come out again?
That
was 2017, right?
Yeah, I keep meaning to bring them. I want to take them up to that burn area and give the giving tree or the mother tree back her babies.
They like seed. They like seed every once in a while.
Yeah.
And they have to meet certain conditions.
Yeah.
So we saw it that one year thick.
What a remarkable experience that was.
Yeah.
And then to see it all up and gone and its ashes. Like it's poetic in its own way.
Yeah.
You know, to see the giving tree, the mother tree, do that, and then she's a crisp.
Yeah,
you know?
we sat. I got video of us eating, cooking and eating underneath that tree multiple times.
Yeah,
multiple times.
I've got pictures taken underneath when it was snow. There was like 3 inches or 4 or 5 inches of snow up there.
I camped. I actually had a tent underneath that tree at one point. So yeah, that's sad to see go. Now there is a story in our in the news bits about a burglary at trailheads.
Oh yeah. I heard about this on the news this morning. Channel 7 Boise was talking about.
So
this.
watch out, burglary from the trailhead. You got cameras to help watch your car. It's a real dirty thing to do.
Number one thing is lock your vehicles when you go to a trailhead.
Please.
But also as important is anything that is of any value should not be within sight of your windows.
Outdoors people have so much valuable stuff. They got coolers, they got flashlights, they got bikes, they got so much gear worth so much money. You know, if you break it, you don't have to see something at a trailhead to know that car, that Subaru.
But criminals are opportunistic.
Yeah.
So if the vehicle's unlocked, they're going to get into it.
Yeah.
If they see something valuable, the car's locked, then they'll break into it. And so putting a deterrent of any kind is going to help more than anything. It's not going to be 100%, but it's going to help deter. Right. And deterrence is an important concept. Like if you move into what the idea is, you have a lot of lights in your neighborhood, you're going to reduce the amount of crime.
Right.
Not true under certain circumstances.
Sure.
Because if nobody in the neighborhood is friends and nobody talks to each other, they're less likely to care that somebody's going over to your house that they might not know.
Yeah.
And so the light is opportunistic for the burglar because they can see better and it's easier for them to get in and get out quickly. And so it's not that I'm unneighborly. We know who our neighbors are, but we don't really know them. Right. So we turn our lights off at night and we have no street light. I mean, there's a big street light out here anyway.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
But our house lights and everywhere else, we try to make it less inviting because of that reason. So things that might help you make a vehicle less inviting. Lock it. Yeah. If you have, hopefully your car, most cars today have tinted windows, so it's a little bit harder to see in. Yeah. But put a sunblock in your front window, those big things that you unfold and put those in to block from easy visual sight into the vehicle from the front.
Remember that time I parked the truck at the trailhead and forgot to roll the window up?
I didn't want to have to bring you brought it up. I'm just going to say.
And we hiked in and slept for a couple days.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. That was
we were lucky. We were lucky now.
I felt really bad for you. It's like, is that your truck? You leave the windows down? I'm like, man.
I guess so.
Can I be honest?
You should always be honest.
So sorry, I'm laughing.
I can tell.
Guy says, "Hey, if this is your truck? The windows are down, and there was a storm that went through.
Yeah,
big storm, right?
Stupid big.
So the first thought I have is, oh crap, Harold, your truck. And then the second thought, which really very quickly pushed out the first thought, I'm gonna have to ride home on a wet seat.
Yeah.
But it actually was dry.
Actually, you drove up there.
No, I was with you.
Nope, I met you up there.
Oh.
So you didn't have to sit there.
I misremembered. Yeah. It was thank goodness I drove up here on my own so I don't have to go home on a wet seat.
Yeah.
Because I'm a jerk like that.
As far as I know, that seat was never wet. Right? It might have got rained on or something. There was like rain and snow inside my tent. Yeah. When I was sleeping.
But the truck didn't look like it got hit at all, to be honest.
It was fine. Nothing was stolen out of it. The bow case, all this gear.
Yeah.
I was just I hiked up and then I hiked all the way down to meet you and hiked back up again.
Yeah,
with more
that's
food
right.
and supplies.
And I remember now. Yeah, okay, because that's right. And your excitement to tell me that you had run into John.
Yeah. Well, I ran into somebody who knew John.
Yeah.
Well, I did see John that night.
So
because he was packing out his second elk of the week from the same draw.
Yeah.
With a traditional bow.
Our spot's a honey hole.
Yeah,
we have lots of success seeing them.
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer. It's going to happen up there sooner than later.
It will.
I think. It was ridiculously close. 60 yards.
Yeah.
And you showed me that video. I still,
He's pretty. He was pretty.
I can't believe that's what
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted. Like the day that we were up there and all of that.
It doesn't hit the same.
And when you showed me, I thought, wow,
that's somebody else's dream. That's not my dream. That's somebody else's dream. No, we lived it, man.
Yeah,
We lived it.
I'll be appreciative for that.
And being able and on that same hillside, being able to see an elk the morning we left from camp, from the car, that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Ripper Pass.
That's
God, get to know your elk area.
that's what I love about that spot, man.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of another picture that I found recently is of the trailhead and all the vehicles that one year. I can't remember if it was 2017 or 19, 18. And so I've got a picture, and there's no license plate, so it'd be a safe one. I should send it over to you, and you can crop out any background. I actually think I have it to where it wouldn't reveal the trailhead necessarily, unless you recognize your vehicle in it. But there's like, I think 11 or 12 vehicles at this trailhead. And how many people did we see that weekend? I don't remember seeing a single person.
I don't know that we saw any.
So, when you know your area and you're in there, even if there's a lot of, that's what another thing about that place that has boggled my mind, but also I'm appreciative of. I've seen vehicles like that at the trailhead, but I have run into hunters every now and then, but not in the droves that your brain thinks because of the number of vehicles you see. And there's a lot of space.
You see 4 or 5 cars and you're like, oh no. Or you see 10 and you're like, oh, this is going to suck. And then you don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody in the woods.
And that's helped me because I would get anxious about the thought of seeing anybody driving on the road in Ketchum.
Yeah.
And I'm not even off the pavement yet. I'm like, it's like Homer hitting that car backing out because he's going to go get that trampoline and he crashes them. Sorry, that's an obscure Simpsons quote, but maybe that episode is why I have the feeling I have when I go hunting. Because like it's my elk, it's going to be mine.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's no need for that. I've calmed down.
No, and my philosophy has always been, well, I'll just out hike those guys. I don't know who you are,
and you know what?
I just will hike further and longer.
Yeah, and a majority of the time, that's what we've learned it works.
Yeah,
I mean, that was paramount
really
to our
effective.
Final. Well, all the success you had in the
gulch.
In the gulch.
In the gulch. I shot that bull not too far from Screamin' Ridge. Screamin' Ridge is on that same hillside.
Yeah.
Just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
And you shot that bull close to where that big boy was that opening weekend that we saw with Jared.
Yep.
I mean that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have video on my phone of 5 different bulls on that hillside the morning before.
Yeah.
And the next morning, the only ones there is this one. Is the one I shot. Anyway, I should save the story. It's all good. It's all fodder. I know that we want to be careful. If you do have valuable stuff, get an air tag. Right?
Yeah.
Those little air tags that you can track it. So I do see a lot of success where people's like, hey, this air tag that I have, it's in this guy's garage. He's got my kayak.
Yeah.
He's got my bow. I seen a guy who actually had his bow and arrow stolen. And he gets to the sheriff. The sheriff says, actually, the guy had stole tons of his stuff.
Wow.
And the sheriff comes and says, hey, if you give this guy his stuff back, he says he won't press charges. And the guy goes and gets his stuff, says, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff.
I think I've seen videos like that.
It gives all his stuff back. So it's weird. It's weird, but you can put air tags on some valuable stuff. It's going to be, if you're going to put it at the trail, the trailhead. But, and we're deep in elk country. Gosh, I don't know if anybody's crazy enough to, if you're up there, you're not up there scouting. You're not up there scouting for a victim, right? You're going to go to the hikey trailheads where the people have.
I'm not going to put opportunity against any criminal because they're going to do what they do. So
because they could be out hunting too.
Yeah,
criminals hunt too.
Yeah,
they do. And if they're at your trailhead, they could be stealing from you.
Yeah.
Anyway, protect yourself.
Yeah. I don't know if you want that one first or last.
Which one's that?
The Arrowhead or Village.
What's it say? That.
Shed Hunter. I was trying to give it cryptic.
Sorry, yeah.
Shed Hunters Find an Ancient Native American Village by Accident.
Yeah.
Tell me about this one.
Okay. Well, this is just a data point in a series of data points in understanding the North American hunter.
Okay.
The history of the North American hunter, because we have evidence that goes back, and we conventionally believed that 15 to 17,000 years ago humans showed up in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see evidence that they were here long before that.
Yeah.
A lot of evidence. And so when the Ice Age receded, when the glaciers receded, the Ice Age came to an end, as it is now. There more and more population moving north, and so some of the freshest stuff we have is out here.
Yeah,
is out here where the glaciers were just last left. Like, we're close to Glacier National Park, right in Yellowstone. So there's still glaciers in Yellowstone and other places in Idaho. Yeah. And so those glaciers are still retreating, and we're finding things because of that. And we're finding that because the ice is melting, and it's the newest stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's the newest stuff. If we think, oh, that's what happened. They were just the last ones here. Well, that's just it. They were the last ones here. You get a little bit further, and we're going to find more evidence. And you get a little bit further, we might find more evidence. So wherever this story is going, because they're going to continue to find, more and more villages as people get out.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of places now, White Sands, New Mexico, and a place in Oregon, I believe. Maybe it was Idaho, but both dated to 40,000 years.
Yeah.
Villages.
Yeah.
Like, what
I'm
is there a
not
date
surprised.
on this one?
I'm not surprised. I'm kind of relieved that we're breaking free. There's no date.
Okay.
But I'm relieved that we're breaking free of these long-held beliefs about things, because it makes intuitive sense to me that, we've been around this long, or people have been around this long in this continent, but if it's around for a long, long time, there's got to have been other things that have happened here with humans. So,
and how long have we been here? 400 or 500 years, right?
Yeah.
White people, and they were here for tens of thousands.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That just blows my mind. And so, any evidence of the past hunters of the North American continent, I'm a fan of. And so I see those stories, and is there anything specific in the story that jumps out?
It's just a picture with the title.
I wanted a reminder, and I believe I read that article, but I wanted a reminder. Maybe that is the one that was they found another 40,000-year-old site. But I just wanted another reminder that, hey, this story is not done.
No.
This story is not done. In fact, there was a scientist who found all the Clovis points, right? Who kind of named the Clovis people, and he came up with a theory called Clovis first.
Yeah.
No matter what you found, it wasn't before Clovis. No matter what your data says, it wasn't before Clovis. Clovis first. He wanted to cement the idea, and he did. They did. He had other scientists. He had other good buddies on his side. They were pushing the Clovis first narrative, and they pushed it for decades. For decades. Oh, the Clovis were first. The Clovis were first. They were not. But that scientist was not the first D-bag to have his own agenda like that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
people be who people be.
That's a funny aside.
The Bannock Association post here. As 1864, Mary Edgerton wrote in a letter to her family in Ohio.
Yes. Please read it. This is great.
So a letter to her family in Ohio. This is January 17th, 1864. Mary Edgerton. Quote, "We had extremely cold weather here a week before last. The mercury in the thermometers after going 40 degrees below zero froze in the bulb. I never knew such cold weather or anything like it. I was so afraid that the children would freeze their noses and ears in the night that I got up a number of times in the night to see that their heads were covered. Their beds would be covered with frost. I saw their frozen breath. It is much warmer now." End quote.
Is that something? Is that something? You think your mom fussing over you eating your vegetables? You think your mom fussing over where you brush your teeth or took a shower or got a clean shorts on? Man, your mom is fussing to make sure you're alive.
Yeah.
To make sure your head is covered with a blanket and she can see layers of frost from your breath on top of it because the house is that cold.
Yeah, that's just remarkable.
That's hard living out west, man. That is hard living.
Yeah.
So I just
much
like that.
appreciation to moms worldwide.
And central heating.
Moose attacks and injures a Ketchum woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
That's your.
yeah, that is. What was the context? It's been a couple weeks. By the way, let me just real quick. Last week I missed the Elk Season Podcast because I had a dinner.
Yeah.
The only cheat meal I've had since January 2nd on my Scorched Earth plan. There is a Peking restaurant over there behind Wendy's.
Yes.
They will take your game meat.
Yeah.
And cook it into their dishes.
Okay.
And this guy had some extra ducks. He had 12 extra ducks.
Oh, wow.
And so he invited a bunch of friends out. And so we had a 6-course meal with 12 of this guy's ducks.
Wow.
That he had. So anyways, that's why I missed last week. It was just cool.
Was it good?
This was the guy who spent 30 years. It was awesome. This was the guy who spent 30 years bow hunting elk and never harvested with a bow.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a guy who was ready with a horse. He goes, "Why didn't you call me when you got an elk down?"
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm still fiending for some more duck. Vested is not a big fan of duck, but I had some duck at the Desert Cafe at the College of Southern Idaho, and it had some sort of cranberry something. It was
Glaze?
just it was
Duck is very beefy. It's very
So
beefy.
good. Yeah.
It tastes and texture a lot like beef.
Yeah.
A little bit leaner, a little bit cleaner taste, I think. But anyways,
in Oklahoma, it looks like somebody killed an elk there.
yeah,
With a crossbow.
yeah.
There's not much context here to this.
All we need to know is there's elk in Oklahoma.
That's pretty cool. I was wondering if they were going that way.
That's all I know is the elk. There's Rocky Mountain elk all over the place, but actually they're in Oklahoma too.
Elk in Iowa, not an unwelcome sight, or not an uncommon sight. So there's elk in Iowa. So that's cool. They're returning to form.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been I guess in a way an enlightening and relief to know that elk are just everywhere here.
Yeah.
And my perception was that they were just hunted to this extinction in most states, and so to see them having sort of this emergence of sorts, at least. Or at least bringing it to my awareness that they're not fully gone is really cool. Wyoming Fish, Wildlife and Parks, Game and Fish Department. Why are we always anyway? Has confirmed the presence of chronic wasting disease in elk.
Oh, I remember this one because with the last CWD cases that we dealt with in Idaho or in our region were on the other side of the Rockies. They were all the way up near Washington. And now we have them on the other side of the Rockies in Wyoming. And so it might be worth getting your animal tested in coming years. See if that CWD is out there. So
and then in here in Idaho, one thing that I guess to start wrapping it up, but we only got 4
I know we haven't
minutes
talked about the wolves yet,
and that's where I was going. I was like here in Idaho, just as I was coming home from work, you were headed over here too, and I wonder if we heard the same podcast.
Probably.
And so just talking about news report. Yeah, I guess not podcast, but so we talked about this last year with Idaho saying we're going to get rid of 90% of the wolves, and
I made a TikTok about it, joking about it. Yeah.
And so the news reporter came on, and it was actually somebody from the Idaho Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. Idaho Fish and Game. Anyway, he actually sounded irritated at the whole overexcitement of the 90% thing, and he said, "This is not this.
This was a media takeaway. They said it was 90%. It was not. Well, what 90% was 150 wolves.
Yeah.
Right now there's 1,500 wolves, and they said, well, we were the goal." The goal of the wolf reintroduction program was to have 150 wolves.
Yeah.
But they weren't delisted until they reached 500.
Yeah.
So those were the two debating points was, do we want to go to where it was delisted, like there's a healthy enough population and have 500-600 wolves in the state?
Right.
Or are we going to knock it all the way down to 150? Obviously, in the news reports, that didn't go over well.
Right.
But I still really believe, and we're going to need this. We're going to need this in the years to come. Colorado is going to be overrun with wolves. We need a secondary market for wolf pelts.
Yeah.
We really do. And I think I thought of this idea. I thought everything through on the way over.
From A to Z.
You know how I work.
From A to wolf.
A sheep in wolf's clothing. That's the idea, is just make mittens that are wool on the inside and wolf on the outside.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? It's a sheep in wolf's clothing. The website, everything. See, it just makes sense.
Yes.
You just fill in the blanks.
$1 billion idea.
Okay,
Now-
sharks. Have you ever wondered, why am I wearing regular mittens when I could have wolves on? Yes,
Sorry,
you probably
it's my brain. Like I can't think now because I'm stuck on Shark Tank. And here's what's more embarrassing about that. When you said, okay, sharks, Shark Tank wasn't the first thing that popped in my head.
What was?
Baby shark, do. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know that only lasted for a year and a half. In my house, so
Why did that come out during the pandemic? Why did it have to happen then? So, like, we're all stuck at home being tortured by a baby shark. Anyway, it's now they're saying 500 wolves. They want to get it down and manage around there, and that's roughly 60% of the population.
But if you really, really. And there's a lot of elk hunters that believe this. A lot of elk hunters believe the wolf population needs to come down. We have to have. It would really, really help a secondary market for wolf pelts.
I just thought of an insensitive.
Just buy a wolf pelt.
Yeah, I just thought of an insensitive.
I like it already.
Specialty that you could make with your wolf wolf gloves. So it'll happen every now and then, but you can have a particular line where the wolf gloves are lined with the sheep that it killed.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So how can I be assured that this wolf killed this sheep? Well, we'll run some DNA.
There's a picture of the rancher that shot the wolf.
Yeah. Well, you remember
that comes with every pair.
Red Green had those skunk mittens.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. You watch. Red Green had 2 giant mittens.
Anyway, so here they are. Got these mittens.
I think he had a skunk cap, too. I wouldn't mind. The kind of hats you like to wear with the flaps that come down?
Yeah.
You unsnap
those are so comfy.
Dude, if I could find one to fit my giant head.
Dude, the one that I have would fit your head. It fits my head.
All right.
And I bought it at Walmart. But I bought my kids ones for Christmas from Walmart.
But if I could get one for $250 that's made from a wolf, that would be so much more comfortable.
That is true. That is true.
It would just be nice. So there needs, right? There would still be plenty of beaver in Idaho if there wasn't such an obsession for beaver hats in Europe. Right? There just would be.
Yeah.
So if we as sportsmen help create a market for wolf pelts,
my beaver came from the West.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Wild West, I'd say. All right. That's the Elk Season Podcast. Have a great week.
Cheers.
Goodbye. Be well.